All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Sam, for taking this time with me to do this interview. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited. So, first of all, I want to say congratulations on your conference, Dear Leader Conference that you just had in Maryland. It was a huge success. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you for having me here. I've been
Yeah.
looking forward to this conversation. And oh, yes. Oh, by the way, your team has been amazing,
Mhm.
Michelle and everybody else. I've learned a lot, right,
Yeah.
on how to engage with the media.
Oh,
And thank you for mentioning our conference at Maryland. It was our first conference of that size,
yeah.
in the US. So it
Yeah.
was a learning experience from start to finish. The beautiful thing is that we
Yeah.
exceeded our targets, and my team is over the moon.
I love that. So because we're still kind of like post-COVID and everything like that. So conferences, people are struggling to get conferences off the ground. So what I'd like to know is what did you learn about in this day and age putting on a successful conference? How did you get butts in the seat, in other words?
Drew, I am still amazed also at the turnout, at the result, because the people, our friends in the DMV area, in the Maryland area, themselves said, we've not seen something like this before.
Yeah.
Especially because of the demography that we reached, especially because of the fact that the room was packed with leaders, right?
Yeah.
And even the hotel venue told our team, we've not seen a crowd like this before, right? So
Wow.
honestly, um, how did we go about it? The first thing I did was to call up my friends in the DMV area.
Hmm.
And I called them speaking not as an expert who knows how to run conferences. Now, I've been running conferences now for some 4 decades, right? But because this was the first conference of that size that I would run in the US.
Hmm.
So I approached it as a learner. I was
Hmm.
asking questions every step of the way, right? I asked
Yes.
questions on the demography, the target, who to target, the pricing model, what people will be willing to pay. I asked about the possibility of sponsorship for the event. I asked questions about the best place to use as venue,
Hmm.
because this is tri-state, right? This is DMV. So where would be central for people, from the whole area to be able to come, including neighboring states like Pennsylvania and Delaware, and some people from New York. I was asking questions all the way. I am grateful that I did and did not
Yeah.
assume anything, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I think also the fact that I engaged leaders directly.
Mm.
I would be honest to admit that I found out that I had a lot of goodwill,
Mm.
with a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
So they were happy that I called them personally,
Mm.
engaged them, and I sold them a vision
Mm.
that was bigger than the conference. Because at the end of the day, my big vision is changing the world.
Yeah.
And I just happen to believe that leadership is a major key. Well, I speak with passion and tell people leadership is the greatest need of the world right now. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
see the world, things are changing. There's so much disruption. So
Mm.
people want direction for their lives. Leadership is the greatest need of the world right now. So I actually sold a big vision and said the conference was only part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think people bought into the vision
Yeah.
because some of the leaders were just so passionate. So with that, I then enlisted them in getting people into the room.
Yeah.
Okay, and most of the leaders, I spoke to people in the church community, I spoke to people in the business community, but most of the people I spoke to were pastors. And the offer I gave the business leaders and the church leaders was, okay, so we have a general session for everybody that is $99. And then we have the VIP session for a smaller number of people where I was going to discuss more technical things about leadership. So I said, if you're able to register 25 people, get 25 people into the room, I'll give you a free ticket into,
Really?
right? The special session, which was like $1,000, $999. And it absolutely made sense.
Yes.
So this was what it translated into. So I pay for 25 people, which is about $2,500. I get $1,000 worth,
Yeah.
right? The value.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So one pastor got 110 of their leaders and workers into the event. So it was but honestly, you don't know what to expect, of course, until you get there.
Yeah.
To see the room packed out was just thrilling.
So so you enrolled them into a bigger vision, which I love. What do you think that leaders today, after the conference, what do you think leaders are actually dealing with? What was the chord that was struck? You obviously struck a chord with these leaders, right? Because they were giving their time, and yes, you were giving away, the VIP treatment, but still, you had to strike a chord with them. What is that chord? What were they thinking that would make a difference for their people?
Thank you. I think it's the fact that I was presenting the possibility of transformation, personal transformation.
Yeah.
To sell anything, you've got to show people the benefits.
Yes.
And I think they saw clearly the benefits for themselves and for their leaders. Because I say that the unique value that I add is that I shift mindsets to help leaders see possibilities and become those possibilities. Now, at the conference, from the feedback that we got, that was exactly what people got. Paradigm shifts. People got paradigm shifts. It was like, wow, this was worth more than $99. Right? So it was that prospect that with transformation and improvement in the lives of their leaders, then their churches and business organizations were definitely going to improve. I think they saw that clearly. And that I'm happy that we delivered on that at the conference, because at the general session, I spoke on success, finance, and leadership. So I actually spoke 3 times within 3 hours. And I, of course, we deliberately chose those topics because they're topics that really matter to people.
Yeah.
Right? They want to be successful. And then their finances, right? And these were mostly immigrants, right? So, and then the leadership bit, I found out that a lot of people are not interested in leadership. They want to be okay personally. So we have to put the success ahead, put the finance next to it, and then end up with the leadership bit, which actually turbocharges people's capacity for success. And then, because it's one thing for you to be able to do something, but once you can influence 5 people, 10, 50 to go with you to achieve goals, you are multiplying your capacity for success geometrically. So when people hear the word leadership, that's not what they think. It's the responsibility, it's occupying a high position they think about. But when we bring the definition of leadership down to just ability to influence one or more people to achieve goals, Then we
Yeah.
help them see how leadership actually helps them to succeed better.
Mm.
At the VIP session, I shared on, I have this proprietary frame. It's a triangle with 3 angles. And the first angle, I labeled it the X factor. And those are the factors of disruption. That's what leaders are dealing with right now.
Yes. Right.
From COVID down to the Russia-Ukraine war to inflation and all that, leaders are dealing with disruption.
Yes.
So we discussed what those disruptions are, including AI right now.
Yes.
At the other angle, then I talk about the capacity of your system to respond to the disruptions. I talked about how they should build systems, how they should train their people to be innovative, and I talk about scenario planning. People and organizations are used to planning for only one possible scenario. And that's why they get surprised. That these days you've got to learn to plan for multiple scenarios, right?
Yeah.
And stretch them to the limit, worst case scenarios, and ask yourself, if this happens, then how are we going to respond? And then the third angle is about leadership. I said, that's the factor that influences everything, right?
Yeah.
And how you should be able to, you should be deliberate about the culture you build in your organization so you can deal, in fact, not only manage disruptions and survive them, but actually how you can leverage them to take your organization to new levels entirely. So the people at the VIP session also felt that they got a whole lot more than the $999.
Yeah.
$999 that they paid.
Yeah. So I love this. So you shift the mindset. So did you see, I'm so curious about, did you see any patterns like the mindset people were dealing with, like say around success in this age? Did you see any kind of like patterns? Because I'm kind of fascinated. What are people really dealing with right now? So what were the mindsets people were dealing with around success?
Well, basically, it's the fact that they're fighting to maintain a positive attitude and to see possibilities. Right?
Yeah.
When you have a scenario where a lot of people lose their jobs, inflation is reducing the capacity, how far your money can go, the interest rates are high, people who should be buying their first homes are having to wait, they can't buy their first homes now, and so on. And things are slowing down generally. So people tend to be negative. So when you listen to the news,
Yeah.
negative, negative, negative. Like
Yeah.
the whole world is crumbling right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Actually, so I actually used some imagery. So I showed them a picture of a glass cup that was half filled with water. And I asked the question, so for you, is the glass half full or is it half empty?
Yeah.
And the basic shift that we did was to move them from focusing on the emptiness to focusing on the fullness.
Yeah.
Then I described the scenario where the water is actually reducing. It's not half full and half empty. It's like 90% empty and only 10% full.
Yeah.
So, and when you have a scenario like that, you're struggling to focus on the 10% because the 90% is everywhere. The 90% problems, all over the world. And I kept telling them, when you focus on what you have, then you can unleash your creativity and innovation to grow something new from there, right? So the major thing I've seen is the increase in despair, in anxiety, right? In worry, in doubts, in fear. And that was what we dealt with to move them from fear and doubt to faith, to believe, so they can start again, right?
It's lovely. Yeah, that shift in the mindset for them, because it sounds like it's kind of the foundation for everything. If you don't have that optimism, you don't have that, and you're focused on the negative base, it's hard to actually, one, provide for yourself, but also provide real leadership for people.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Leaders need to inspire people.
yeah.
Leaders have to inspire people. So a leader has got to be an incurable optimist.
Yeah. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
An incurable optimist. So, and I was getting them to realize, look, as a leader, you don't wait till you can figure how to do things before you decide on what to do.
Yeah.
The way it actually works is that you decide on what to do, and then you are able to figure out how to do it.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that's how we create, actually, right?
Yeah.
That's how we unleash our creativity. So, like you said, that belief is actually the foundation for everything, because on that, then you can build dreams. Then you
Mm.
dream, right? And
Yeah.
vision is at the heart of leadership.
Mm.
I describe vision as the ability to see people, places, and things, not just the way they are, but the way they could be,
Mm. I
right?
love that. Yes.
So you see people the way they could be, you see places the way they could be, you see things the way they could be.
Mm.
And that vision is absolutely crucial for a leader. You take that out from a leader, there's practically nothing else left. Because that
Mm.
vision is what makes us inspirational. The
Yes.
reason why people follow us is they want to be able to move from point A to point B. So
Yes.
the leader has got to be able to speak about point B with conviction,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
then people think, oh, fine, this guy knows where we should go. Let's go. Right? And for
Yeah.
the most part, for the most part, you actually figure it out while going. Some of the experiences you've had already. So you can say, look, I've traveled down that road. And
Yeah.
that makes a lot of people to follow us. That's why self-leadership comes first. You've got to be able to, you've got to be solving problems in your own life,
Yes.
overcoming challenges, right? Then your stories make you inspirational.
Yeah.
But then you also come across situations you've not experienced before and you've seen to it.
Yeah.
Then you draw on your past experiences, like David did when he faced Goliath.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I may not have faced a giant before, but I faced the lion, right? He drew inspiration from that and then moved ahead. So a leader has just got to be positive. Absolutely. It's not a leader's business to burden people with with problems or negativity.
This is so juicy because, I don't think that people talk about this enough, right? But I'm actually seeing with what you're saying, it really is it's really the heart of the matter. So my question for you is, so you're one of the most optimistic people I know. How do you keep that alive for yourself?
Wow.
Because, you've got like 3 million followers and you're always upbeat, you're optimistic, but as a human being, how do you do that for yourself?
That's a beautiful question. It's easy for people, to look at me and to think that my life is perfect, but it isn't.
Wait, no, no, don't tell me that. I thought it was perfect, Dr. Sam.
Right? I've got the challenges and all that.
Yeah.
However, what I see and hear every day matters.
Hmm.
I discovered a principle many years ago that whatever you see and hear consistently over time will enter your heart.
Hmm.
And whatever enters your heart puts your life on autopilot.
Wait,
So,
hold on. Well, let just sink that. Let that juice kind of sink in. So what you
right?
see and what you hear consistently
Yeah.
goes to the heart,
Yeah.
and the heart is what has your life on autopilot.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Okay, love it.
Now, your line of business confirms it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Media, advertising,
Yes.
see it 7 times or 9 times on
Yeah.
4 different platforms,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
sticks. And from
Mm.
at a subconscious level influences your buying decision or
Mm.
other decisions, right?
Yes.
So I am therefore then deliberate about what goes in here.
Mm.
Very important. I know it looks like it's free to watch TV, free to watch everything on YouTube, free, but I break up words to understand them sometimes. So when I look at the word information, I
Yeah.
see in and I see formation.
Ah, love it.
So what's going in
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is shaping my life, it's forming me, right? So the first thing I do when I wake up every morning, I read my Bible.
Mm.
Because that's one book where there's practically no human problem that was not solved.
Mm.
So it's my dream book.
Mm.
My
I
book
love
of,
that. You're dreaming.
right?
Yeah, I love that.
It's my
Yeah.
dream book. It's my book of possibilities.
Mm.
So, and I know that my mind is my powerhouse. So I've got to kind of tune it, right?
Yeah.
Put it on the right frequency. So I read some chapters of the Bible. Then usually I would read 1 or 2 chapters of another book that I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
Then I start my day. So what I read is a major part of it. What I watch on YouTube, I watch videos on YouTube that are empowering, right?
Mm.
I should admit, I watch a lot of comedy
Yeah.
on YouTube, right?
Brilliant.
When I
Yeah.
need to take a break, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the people I associate with,
Mm.
they're
That's
positive people.
yeah.
The people I associate with are they are possibility thinkers.
Yes.
So even if I want to have a tendency to go negative, they'll pull me out of it, help me to see,
Yeah.
another view to what I'm looking at. So the information I take in, what I read, what I watch, the people I associate with, that's a big part of my being
Mm.
positive. Yeah. And I should
Yeah.
say, of course, prayer, because it's interesting that I grew up thinking of prayer only as me talking to God.
Mm.
But I found out, excuse me, you're talking to someone. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue.
Yes.
And I've come to realize when I talk, there isn't any power in my words, but when God talks, there's power in his words.
Mm.
So when I pray, I get inspired ideas.
Mm.
Sometimes they may be simple. When I act on them, I am amazed. Like sometimes I get an idea, maybe that has to do with my home country, Nigeria, and I tweet.
Mm.
And it's on national media.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even I am wondering, what did I say? Wait. But it's because it's inspired.
Mm.
So one of the things I got from the Bible was how to move from a negative emotion to a positive one.
Mm.
It's in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. It says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God.
Mm.
Verse 7 says, and the peace of God that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind. So which means I can move from anxiety to peace,
Yeah.
and prayer and thanksgiving, gratitude are there
Yeah.
in the book.
I think that's so relevant, particularly now with what you said, with everything that people are dealing with leaders are dealing with, because there's a lot of underlying anxiety. And so I think that's just a lovely way to actually approach it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. It's
That's
it's it's a,
brilliant.
a tough time for a lot
Yeah.
of people in our world. You know, one interesting thing I came across, that a lot of the businesses that are thriving in the US were started during periods of recession.
Yeah.
Very interesting, right?
Well, we started our company during a recession, one of the worst recessions, in the country. And
Wow.
why I think um, it goes back to your triangle, because we actually were like, there was a disruption happening in the economy, and we played out all of the scenarios. How do you make your business like economy proof?
Right.
So it's like your triangle, right? And then you can actually provide real leadership inside of that. So your
Absolutely.
model is brilliant, and it explains why companies that were formed in recessions are thriving.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
it's brilliant, because it's during those disruptive times that they're forming the company, so it has you think differently. And I think also it hones your optimism.
Right.
If you're in already the swirl of a bad economy and everything like that, you've got to be looking at the 10% liquid and going, yay, there's 10%.
Right. Exactly.
That's
You know,
brilliant.
it's people's, yes, disruptions change things,
Yes.
but they don't destroy everything. So I remind leaders, the reason why you're leaders, especially the ones that are entrepreneurs, is I say the common thing to the two, they solve problems, right?
Right.
Leaders solve problems, entrepreneurs
Yes.
solve problems. So
Yes.
I say to them, the average person's instinct is to run away from problems.
Yes.
But because you are an entrepreneur or you are a
Mm.
leader, you actually run towards problems.
Mm.
So it's not everybody that prays that problems should not come. I say,
Yes.
for example, it's not everybody that prays that wars should not happen. We pray wars should not happen because they cause a lot of disruption. I said,
Right.
but people become billionaires through wars.
Yes.
Somebody sells the guns, somebody sells the boots, sells the uniform, sells the food for the
Yes.
soldiers and everything like that. Now, most people don't think of that
It's
when they
big
think
business.
war, right?
Yes. Right. Yes.
Well, you won't
Yes.
see that on the news, that the
Yes.
soldiers are eating food and somebody is supplying that,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yes.
Somebody is supplying the water. What you see on the news is, oh, people are dying, they're destroying this and destroying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the leader has to be the one who can still spot the opportunity in the adversity.
Yes.
Now, one of the things we do for our clients in our consulting practice is helping them to run scenario planning exercises.
Mm.
So with that, in fact, if they have a large enough group, we break them up into groups. See,
Yeah.
this group, you take the changes that are coming from technology, the
Mm.
potential change. What are the worst things that could just literally kill your business? The new innovations that could come. You
Yeah.
take the social sector, the people, the changes going on, the demography. Is it the young people? What are they thinking? Where could you possibly have unrest? Is it a minority group or what? One group should take the environment, the climate, potential weather disruptions, and so on. You take the economy, you take politics, government policies that can come. Then we tell them, stretch it to the limit. The worst things that could happen this year.
Mm.
Then we bring the groups together and ask them to make their submissions. When they've listed everything, then we say, okay, fine. So I then say to them, what are the new opportunities that will come with these problems?
Mm.
So I titled that session, Show Me the Money.
I I love that. Well, I think that it's such a powerful exercise. I haven't thought about that, but it's a powerful exercise because it has them begin to think differently. It's
Exactly.
like it shifts their mindset. It makes them more resilient. Like
Absolutely.
just in the conversations, it's like they are living through that and then continue to look for what the opportunities are. I think it's brilliant. Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes people are reluctant, to
yeah,
think of negative things, right?
yeah.
Because it's uncomfortable.
It
Like you
is.
said, we're making them to live the experiences
Yeah,
ahead. And these are negative experiences.
yeah.
In fact, I did it for the leadership of the church. And one of the groups who wrote only positive things, they were not comfortable writing negative things. And I said, look, I understand you're people of faith, right? I said, but you can't have more faith than Jesus Christ, can you? I said, have you observed what he said would happen, at the end of time? He said
Yeah,
there would be wars and rumors of wars. There would be earthquakes and there would be
yeah.
famines.
He ran through all those scenarios.
Right?
Yes.
He went through the scenario. He did the scenario,
Yeah,
planning.
yeah,
And then, like you said, it then becomes empowering because you've lived it ahead.
mm,
And now you can begin to look for the positive side to the issues ahead.
yeah,
It does
mm,
fortify organizations against negative situations. So even if things don't happen exactly like you thought, you're likely more prepared to respond to the negative things that show up.
yeah, yeah. I love that. That's brilliant. Well, I want to say once again, congratulations on a very successful conference. I think that's extraordinary. And um, just thanks for letting us be part of your journey. I think you are extraordinary. I think what you bring to the world is pure magic and
Oh,
optimism and beauty. And I just love who you are as a human being and the difference you make.
oh, thank you so much, Drew. Thank you because my working with you and your team has been empowering,
Mm,
helping me to see myself in a better way because your work is to link me with the media.
yeah.
And you then, in the process of our working together to bring out my strengths, the positive dimensions to what I do, the way you guys would present it, I would say, oh my God, is that me? Right?
That's brilliant.
Right. So that's been so beautiful. And we're happy we had a great conference. We're looking forward to more exciting ones in a couple of weeks. Um, we're hosting one in Lagos. It's not the Dear Leader Conference. It's a leadership conference we started like 14 years ago. We call it the Excellence in Leadership Conference. And
Mm,
people attend thousands of people attend physically in Lagos, Nigeria. And then tens of thousands actually join online from all over the world. And
mm.
we're hosting that November 2nd and 3rd, 2023. And then the Dear
Wow,
Leader, right. And then
that's soon.
that's soon. That is soon. So we're actually working hard towards it right now. And then we're looking forward to the Dear Leader Conference in Dallas, Texas, and Toronto, Canada, and then back to Maryland next year.
Good. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Drew.